Happy summer and welcome back to VIBE Edu as we are jumping into our series Staff Wellness. This is the fourth episode. We're closing this down and we're going to be talking about teacher retention. But real quick, I just want to review the previous episodes. If you are jumping in and this is your first episode, we talked about the end of year feeling of burnout and some of the techniques that can help relieve that, leaning into team culture and how we should not be doing this alone and how we need to delegate out during that process. And then, of course, the third thing was hiring practices. A lot of people don't think of that, but we need to make sure that we're constructing a team that's going to help us, especially our wellness over the year. And then, of course, today we're going to be talking about retaining good folks. So I'm going to throw it to Kim because I think Kim has a beautiful perspective, especially with her community, of what people are feeling right now.
Yeah, I was just this past week, I was with a group called Raise Your Hand Texas. The director over there, she was talking about how you create a budget, how there is a budget, the state budget, like all of that, like where is the money coming from? And, teachers always feel like, where is the money? So she was there to talk about that, which I loved. And then I was there talking about behavior in the classroom and teachers and how they're feeling and how to support them. And one teacher, she was like, well, I just honestly feel like my principal doesn't understand any of this behavior. And I feel like they keep on saying that they're supporting us, but we don't feel supported. And when shit hits the fan, nobody's there, nobody's coming in. And they keep on saying, well, I'm giving you this, I'm giving you this program and you have these lessons and we have this person on our site to support you. But what they said was, that doesn't feel like true support. And our conversation really was around how everybody has to be all in. And if you want to retain your teachers, you want to keep them feeling seen and heard and valued, our conversation was around how the leader has to be all in the work too. That means I'm learning alongside my teachers. That means I'm reading the same books that they're reading. That means I'm participating in conversations. And I think that, listening to this teacher, I could see her face on Zoom and she was like, I'm ready to tap out because I don't feel supported in that way. And so it was a beautiful conversation around that. And I know that so many teachers feel that way. And I think that would change the game to keep the good ones, especially.
Teacher or TJ, teacher. All right, TJ, I know obviously you've been in a lot of different leadership roles. And I know you've had a lot of folks that you've hired or have been a part of within your organization. And you obviously know the budget side of it is it takes more money to find someone to fill that position versus making sure that you are pouring into them and retaining them. So for yourself, either at the campus or district level, what were some of the things that you put in place to make sure that you're keeping the good teachers?
Well, first off, to respond to Kim's conversation, which I think is commonplace, I personally don't like the word support. It gets used in this elusive context. And I hear teachers say all the time, like the district doesn't support or the administrators don't support or the system isn't supportive. And I would like us to use some real words around that, some real language, like support meaning what? Mm-hmm. And I'll say two reasons why. The first is because I do think people are under-resourced and under-supported, but I think there's specific things they need, including resources and professional development. Mm-hmm. When we get better at our jobs, that's support. When we have the things necessary to do them well, that's support. But when we go to the feeling of support, typically that's something around comfort and happiness. And so what happens is the administrative team responds by helping people to be more comfortable, hoping that they'll be more happy. And that's not actually how you become more happy at work. There's science around that. The way we become happy at work is by getting better at it. That requires the pressure to use the resources, the pressure to execute on the professional learning. When we do that and we do it well and we're celebrated for that, then we feel like our work matters, that we're having an impact, that we are supported. And so we get into this vicious cycle of, I want to feel supported. We don't know how to translate that. We want to make people comfortable and happy. Comfortable and happy doesn't equal being good at the work. The only way to feel good about the work and feel supported is to be good at it. It's just a bad cycle. So when we're having those conversations, I'm going to get real granular with people to say, what's that look like for you? Well, I don't, think about, and small things like, I'm spending all this time at the end of the day erasing this whiteboard that is actually shower board from Home Depot, and it won't come clean and it's a pain in my butt. Like, okay, then let's get you a porcelain magnetic whiteboard for your room. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but it's stuff like that that actually makes people happy and supported, not cookies at the faculty meeting, which I think a lot of people translate this into like, let's try to make this a happier environment. I'm all for the cookies. It's just that's fleeting and it won't work. There's my rant. There you have it. You got another one today, but you asked for it.
It's true. I when I was department chair, everybody knew, like, I'm not going to do your job for you, but if you need something like that. And I remember the math department, there was a new teacher, and her printer wasn't working in her classroom, and she needed the printer to like print out stuff she had created for a lesson, and just like basic 101, and no one was doing anything about it. And I was like, wait, so you're already just starting to figure out this job, you're year one, and you need this, like the whiteboard, TJ. It's a huge thing. And I knew, just because I was in quasi leadership, not school leadership, department leadership, I knew we had extra printers in this storeroom that you were like supposed to check out and do everything. I just went over and grabbed one, brought it in, plugged it in. I'm like, you're set, get back to it. And she was just like, took the old printer out. I mean, I think that's got to be part of maintaining. People have to feel supported and heard and valued. And it's not all, 10,000 foot view leadership. Sometimes it's just the brass tacks of like, I got to do my job, and it's taking me 15 minutes, and you've all tried to erase a whiteboard that doesn't erase. And you're just like, what the, I just want to go home, but I need this clean for tomorrow. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a classroom with a principal one time, and this teacher was using this like really interesting keyboard and a special mouse, and it was helping her do her job. And I said to the principal, "Who bought that?" And he said, "She's really techie, and she brought that into the environment." I said, "You ought to ask her for a receipt for that." And you better reimburse her for it, because I know you have school funds to do it. I was a supervisor and I could see all the budgets. I know you have specific funds to buy technology for teachers. That might not be a necessary thing for everybody. You don't have to scale it. This teacher works better with a particular keyboard and mouse. So we don't need her to buy that, even though it's a nice to have and not a have to have. But we can reimburse her for it if it's a tool that she thinks is going to help. Versus she's going to buy 5 more tools throughout the school year, and she's going to have all that out of pocket expense. And then, by the way, that translates to years of feeling like I'm not supported. And then you say, I'm not supported, and nobody knows what that means.
But if a principal was sitting at the beginning of a school year, let's say, right? It's summertime right now. So principals who are listening, right? What if you start the school year by saying, and be specific. I want all of you teachers thinking about it right now. Is there anything that you can think of that is going to make your job easier in the classroom when you are, and I'd be specific here too, is it, and give them examples, is it a technology piece that you're craving in order to make blah, 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 blah easier for you? Is it, I mean, I know I just saw Amazon wish list from teachers all across the nation. They're craving anchor chart paper. Of course they are, because they love their anchor charts, but like, being specific and saying, you guys, I know we're expecting with our blank curriculum that you guys put pen to paper and create these anchor charts. Does anybody need anchor chart paper? You let me know. Then as a teacher, I do feel supported. I feel seen and heard, But I think as a leader, you got to initiate that. And I don't think a lot of our leaders know how to do that.
But it's a breakdown in the system, right? So we're not giving teachers voice to share that, to be specific. And when we do, we don't recognize the problem and we don't solve it. So then what's created is actually a reduced sense of value from the teachers, which goes into that support piece, right? They may communicate that I don't feel supported, but it's not about the support. It's feeling like I'm not valued, because to Mitch's point, right? I need a printer. I need a printer. I need a printer. And then nothing happens. And so what is that saying? Your actions are saying that my job is not worth as much. It's devalued. And so if we, as a principal or a school leader, we need to make sure that we have a system to give voice to teachers, to let us know, as simple as you need markers, you need anchor chart paper, whatever it might be. And then once we see that we recognize the problem, we tell them, I'm going to get that for you. And then we do something about it. And I think that too often we think of it, especially as leadership, oh, this is a small item. It's a small thing. It's not something that's high on my list. And those small things sort of build up until now we have a whole campus feeling devalued.
The one thing that matters the most, I think, in this conversation about teacher retention is being in the most important spaces in the school, which is the classroom. The more often we can spend our time in there, the more we get to see the whiteboard that's impossible to use, the printer that's broken, the pencil sharpener that takes up 5 minutes of every period of the day, or you get to see that stuff unfold, is when you can recognize those frustrations and fill those gaps, because nobody really wants to be a complainer. So they're not complaining about the whiteboard. They're just complaining about a lack of support. One more thing I'll say, because I always got one more thing, is when we talk about teacher retention, the most vulnerable teachers in your school are your new teachers and your best teachers. Your new teachers, they don't know whether or not they want to stay in your school. They don't know whether or not they want to stay in the profession. They're most likely to leave in the first 5 years, and your best teachers can go anywhere they want. So if we cannot treat everybody as equal when we talk about support and we talk about retention. If treating everybody across the board is fair and equal are not the same thing. And your new teachers and your best teachers need something different than all your teachers.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting, TJ, your first rant, your first last point, which was 3 points ago, I think. It's true of students too. You know, like I think if we're providing, if people feel, staff and teachers feel supported and heard and have voice and they have value, then and only then can we kind of lean into expectations and accountability, right? And the same is true of students. Like school should be hard at times, but just going straight to the hard, it's like the teacher is like, this is too hard, and they don't feel supported. I'm out. Don't blame them.
Right.
Don't blame them. But if you could just back up, whatever, 18 months prior, they wanted to change the world. I mean, they're whimsical. They're going into education. They know they're not going to make any money. All the stuff that we all did because we wanted to do something with our lives. And then 18 months later, it's like, this sucks. I'm out. That, I think we're getting to the hard without the support. And you see it in students all the time.
I think same thing. Like TJ, I loved, again, when you were talking your first rant, the words that came to my mind, and Mitch, I was thinking also this could go students and teachers. They need to feel empowered and equipped. And I know when a principal comes to me and says, my teachers don't feel supported, I say, I'm going to come in and I'm going to empower them and I'm going to equip them with the skills that they need, right? Same thing with kids. We're going to empower them and equip them with the skills that they need. And that is the support, right? I don't know. I know I'm looking at the time now, but I'm just thinking this, you guys, this conversation is a beautiful conversation. I was going to ask TJ, have you already written a book about this? Because maybe this is the book that the four of us write. Just saying.
Nope, he wrote it. It's the second to last one.
One of his 12.
Invest in your best. It's a good book.
Well, we wrote Invest in Your Best about differentiating for best teachers, but we also wrote a book called Retention for a Change, which is about just teacher retention.
See?
So plug.
Two books.
Plug and plug. Since we're plugging, can we throw it to Kim real quick so she can give us a quick update on VIBE Edu?
Yeah, it's been so exciting lately, you guys. So many people have just been purchasing tickets. And I had principals reaching out, asking for purchase orders. Like, you can feel the energy. I even had a teacher, she was in an interview at a school, and a teacher saw her bison from her notebook and was like, "Are you going to VIBE EDU this year?" And the teacher was like, "Are you going to VIBE EDU?" It was like, she's literally in an interview and these teachers are just like talking about
You're
it.
hired.
I know.
Yeah, right?
The energy is so incredible. So if you haven't purchased your ticket yet, definitely head over to teachinginsideout.com/vibe-edu. Grab your ticket, get your herd, and be in the room with us. We're just so excited to be with you.
Awesome. Well, we're going to have that link in the show notes, so folks need to click on that and get their registration done quickly. I know that event's just around the corner. And if you want more information, definitely check out our next episode, as we have a special VIBE EDU mailbag where we're going to dive into the event a little bit more. But I don't want to share too much about that, but definitely tune in. Of course, if you need support, if you have any questions, if you want any additional resources, hit us up. Our different links are in the show notes for you for our various websites. So we love when people reach out, and we are here for you, especially during the summer as people are trying to grow and get ready for the brand new school year. So with that, I hope everyone's having a fantastic summer so far, and we look forward to seeing you next week.